Hey, what's up? It's Stormdexter with another video of City Skyline, and in this one I'm going to be showing you guys how I made the leisure and organic and local produce commercial zone plazas. And I also had some trouble with traffic in my city, so I'm going to go over that in this video as well. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so since I've already built the parking lot structure last episode, what's left for me to do is paint these commercial zones, plop down the parking lot spots, and also decorate a little bit. So the one thing that I don't like about the parking lot road asset is that it doesn't really encourage your citizens to park there. And I think this is because the AI is always trying to find convenient parking spots, like the ones closest to the buildings they want to go to. But most of the time the AI is inconsistent anyways, where instead of them trying to find parking, they would just pull up in front of the building, get out of their car, and the car would disappear. But anyways, I started deleting these trees around the highway so I could add a more cleaner line of trees that act as sort of a sound barrier for the highway. Not that it really matters for the leisure commercial zones because they produce a lot of noise anyways. And I don't even know if the trees even work as sound barriers. I just kind of assumed they did. So then I started working on a third diverging diamond intersection, which now that I think about it was a bit much. Not only because they were a little bit too close to each other, but because two would be enough to handle the traffic that this little town would make. So then I started to work on the other side of the highway, and you can see me building these placeholder roads to make sure that the roads that are perpendicular to it aren't at a perfect 90-degree angle, or at least try to make the roads coming from the diverging diamond interchange parallel to each other, which isn't really necessary. But when building grid-like pattern roads, having angles that are a little bit off from 90 or 180 degrees would cause the zoning tiles to not be perfectly adjacent to each other. And one thing that I forgot to mention when building these diverging diamond interchanges last episode is that I paint the area between the on and off ramp and the highway with pavement so that it would look like they were even more together. Going back to the leisure plaza, I used the traffic manager mod to make sure that there are no cars or taxis going inside the area where most of the buildings are, mainly because it wouldn't make sense if they could. So then I started working on a second plaza that's going to be symmetric to the first one, which is going to consist of organic and local produce commercial zone specialization. And instead of using the parking lot roads to extend the plaza towards the highway, I used pedestrian pathways instead, which is a asset. And the cool thing about this asset is, unlike the vanilla pedestrian pathways, these pathways create tiles for you to paint zones in. But before I painted the zones, I made sure to paint this side as a district so that I can label it as a organic and local produce commercial specialization. Alright, so this is the traffic that I somehow created when building these roads. You can see that the trucks kind of come off the roundabout and loop into itself, creating a little bit of gridlock. So this is just traffic that's most likely never going to move, so my solution was to delete the industrial zones on the avenue roads and replace them with office zones instead. This is so that trucks don't stop in the middle of the avenue for a building and blocking other trucks behind it. But that wasn't really the problem. The problem was the trucks trying to go around on the residential area and go inside the roundabout from there. But eventually I deleted most of the industrial zones and replace them with office zones because I was gonna delete them from this area anyways, so that the citizens don't really have to deal with pollution that is really close. And you can already see that it's starting to clear up the traffic from the roundabout already. Alright, so going back to the downtown district, for the three roads that are coming from the diverging diamond interchange, I decided to only have two of them connect, and they're connected through a little roundabout in the corner. And for the third one, I decided that it kind of trails off to its own path. And my plan for the third road is that it's going to lead into the university part of my city, which I will be building another day, but I do use the campus DLC to make it. Also, apologies for jumping around the map a little bit too much. One thing that I have a bad habit for is I usually never finish a district, or at least a little part of the city. And this is mostly because I don't want to end up with 1,000 problems with a completed area. So So what I usually do is I solve the problems as it's being built. So then I ended up buying the 4th tile of the map because I wanted to have another entrance for the downtown part of the area. And overall I thought this was a pretty good custom map, but my issue was that I didn't really have the assets that the map creator had. So there are these kind of weird sound barriers that I was deleting but can never replace because I never downloaded the assets, as well as the little drains you kind of see in the middle of the highway. And now I'm using the vanilla preset 4-way interchange, and in hindsight I should have probably used a custom 4-way interchange because the problem with the on and off ramps kind of don't really ease into each other, so you'll see a lot of slowing down at the corners of the ramps. Another problem with vanilla interchanges is that the on and off ramps are a little bit too close to each other. So in this visual you can kind of see that vehicles that are trying to merge onto different highways might accidentally get in each other's way, so this could cause a lot of traffic as well. But the one good thing about this 4-way interchange is that it's probably one of the smallest 4-way interchanges. You'll see in real life and in Steam Workshop that most of the interchanges are huge, and I think it's to make sure that the roads kind of ease into each other so they don't really lose any speed and also not get in each other's way. And now I'm kind of just using the move it tool to fix the mess I've made when I added this interchange here, and at the end it looked quite alright. So another thing that I worked on was this sort of industrial zone with the garbage utility place in the back, and I didn't show how I built this because I was planning to destroy it later anyways, due to me not feeling satisfied with how it looks at the end visually. However, I think I plan on building something similar to this because of how well it handles traffic. Alright, so going back to the traffic problem that I had in this town, I think the solution to fixing the roundabout problem was instead of adding these 1-lane highways, I changed them into 2-lane highways, which seemed to kind of made the traffic flow a lot more. So after I let the game run for a little bit, the traffic started to flow a lot better, except for this one part in this Avenue Road where the citizens were yielding to turn left, but my solution to that was just by making them not be able to turn left. And you could see here that this intersection is getting a little bit busy, so what I did is I upgraded the Avenue roads to have a left turn lane in the middle, and I accidentally set the pedestrian walk paths disabled on the wrong spots. They were supposed to be the ones perpendicular to the ones I chose. And then you could see here that I added a time traffic light where I set the Avenue road lights to have all 3 lights act independently from each other. Oh yeah, and I also ended up fixing the pedestrian walk paths. Alright, so with the first step of the time traffic light, I made sure that the Avenue roads can both turn left for 15 to 25 minutes at the same time where the perpendicular roads can turn right. And for the second step, I made sure that both of the Avenue roads can keep continuing straight and also turn right for a time that's a little bit longer than the first step. And the third and final step was for the perpendicular roads to kind of be able to turn left, go straight, and turn right. And I also allowed the Avenue roads to turn right at this third step. And you could see on the left, there's a bunch of cars that are just clipping into each other. And I think it's because that the middle lane as the left lane kind of goes both ways. So if you have intersections that are close to each other, there's not going to be a node that's going to give your cars the option to change lanes. So what they do is they just start on the middle lane to turn left. Alright, so now you can see the intersection flowing a lot more smoothly, and I think it's because the cars aren't really getting in the way from each other, except for the ones that are in the middle lane. They're kind of just morphed into each other. But I was pretty comfortable with how this traffic light handles this intersection, so I decided to copy it onto another intersection that I think would have heavy traffic during certain points of the day. And for the rest of the intersections, I made sure that they were yield and give way signs so that the cars that are on the Avenue road don't really have to stop and wait so many times. And then I decided to also copy the time traffic light on the 3rd Avenue road. But the difference that this road has is that there are more people coming from the roundabout than there are people going to the roundabout and leaving. And there were also a lot of people that are coming off of the roundabout trying to turn left on the first intersection on the Avenue road. So I ended up using the lane connector to make sure that only the people on the left lane could make left turns. And what this does is that it stops people from using the left lane to keep going straight. So now you can see that there's a lot more traffic flow for the left lane. But there's still a lot of cars that are trying to just get through the intersection that are coming from the roundabout. So I ended up changing the time traffic light to make sure that the cars coming from the roundabout can both turn left and continue straight forward at the same time. And since most of the traffic is coming from that side of the intersection, I made sure that they were able to pass through for about 40 to 50 seconds, which is a lot longer than the other ones, which is not really a problem since there's not that many cars or vehicles coming from those sides. But despite using all the traffic management stuff, there was still a heavy amount of traffic, especially coming from the roundabout. And this is because the biggest problem is the industrial zone. And this is because the industrial zone produces way too much traffic. So unless I have a system of roads that kind of points the cars in a specific way such that they never have to cross each other's paths, then the traffic will just never get better. But it did get better when I deleted the industrial zones and replaced them with residential and office buildings. I also got rid of that coal power plant or anything that kind of created pollution. So keep that in mind when looking for solutions to traffic in your city. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. And as always, the last part of the video will just be a cinematic view of whatever I've done, I guess. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.